It's showtime. What's going on, guys? Ronnie, it's always a pleasure when we get to sit down and shoot the breeze, or like today, as we discussed, we're going to have a little bit more of a formal session and talk about coyotes. Everybody's got problems with coyotes. I know, Ron, you've seen quite a few in the woods this season. I've seen a few, but they're everywhere. It seems like each year you see more and more. But we're going to dive right in and fill us in on a little bit of the background. We're going to discuss the hunting aspect for coyotes, why that's important, their impact, and then we're going to get into some tips and tactics and close out with a few stories to share. But to lead us off here, the coyote here in Pennsylvania, where we're located primarily, is it's going to be the eastern coyote. There's a western coyote that's popular in the Californias and basically west of the Mississippi, but the eastern coyote is much larger compared to the western. The eastern coyote is the largest canine in PA. As for population, the upper half of Pennsylvania is where primarily the coyotes are, but areas such as Philly, Pittsburgh, and even Harrisburg, scattered throughout. They're everywhere through the state, essentially.
They're encroaching even more. As it's the same thing with the bear population and any other type of wildlife. As we build up, we're getting into where they're looking for food sources. So when you say about the eastern coyote versus the western coyote, I think of the old cartoons. That's a western coyote that was always trying to fight the roadrunner.
Right.
The eastern coyote is not the same coyote as you would see on Looney Tunes.
Yeah, Willie, he was skin and bones, but you're not going to see that in eastern coyote. But looking into it more, Pennsylvania, out of all the states, it's the 7th most populated state per coyote. Texas is number 1, which I found to be interesting. Texas also has the largest deer population. Correlation there, maybe, but just a point I wanted to highlight. Thought that was interesting. But
it's
coyotes.
Usually, sorry, I was just going to say, with coyotes, they don't see just one, so they run in packs, and if there's an area where they can get into where it's conducive, they have the food sources and things of that nature, such as deer and things like that. You're going to see a lot of them.
Right. There's a population curve. So if there's a lot of prey and low predators, the predators over time are going to increase. And then when predators are low, the prey is going to be high. Sorry, I got to word that right. When the predators are high and the prey are low, when that aspect happens, then the predators will either die off or they have to migrate, kind of like what you highlighted there a little bit.
Right.
But
yeah, it's when they come in, they start working on your little 2-pound dog that you let out to go to the bathroom. That's prey to the coyote. Or your cat, or your furry pets that are part of the family. So anyway, continue.
Yeah, but coyotes, they've been in the state for years, more than a few. Some of this information I want to highlight. I got directly from a Pennsylvania Game Commission website. So if this piques your interest or you want to learn more, I suggest checking it out and doing some research yourself. But they've been around. They have it quoted at 1 million years. I think there's a lot of hyperboles we use. That deer is this big, or I've seen 1 million. But I thought it was interesting. But 1 million years they've been here. But over the past century, that's when the population really started to grow and rise. Something interesting as I look through the records and start to track a fact that was highlighted, that in the 1700s and 1800s that coyote bounty records were so hard to track their accuracy because some were fraudulently turned in as wolves. So, little known of PA that the wolf's animals are some of the same being killed today.
Wolves get huge too. Like I've seen some big coyotes, but like wolves can get really big out west. So
right, it cracked me up a little bit looking into that because I remember growing up as a kid, the story of you at the cabin crying that there was a wolf on the mountain.
There's some, yeah. Well, actually, I was pretty young, and I was in my tree stand, and I would think I don't know if I was gun hunting or bow hunting, but it was fall, and I was in my tree stand, and when you're a kid, you're doing your best to pay attention, and you're doing your best to sit still, but I looked up, and all I saw was this long tail, and this animal's running through, and I thought it was a mountain lion, So when I came back, I asked my dad. I'm like, "Hey, are there mountain lions in this part of the state anymore?" And I know there used to be like a lot of mountain lions in Pennsylvania, but I think officially the Game Commission says there are none, and that's probably another topic, where there's varying, different sightings, where people come across seeing mountain lions and things like that. But I think like now looking back on that experience, it probably was just a coyote with, a long tail, because it was moving, pretty quickly, and I was young whenever I saw it.
Right.
Didn't know what I was looking at, right?
Right. But yeah, getting into the mountain lion topic, that's the other side of the leaf, and there's more to talk about that, and there can be.
Yeah, I don't want to crack that door open.
Right.
We could probably do a whole other episode on that one.
Yep. Right. Right. But over the past decades, the coyote population continues to grow, and I don't know the hunting pressure in the past, but in recent years there seems to be more and more pressure on them. More people like us are like, hey, it's the off season. What are we going to do? How are we going to keep busy? We want to get out in the woods. So the pressure of hunters are getting out there, but they continue to grow and be on the rise. Last thing I want to highlight here, just why care about coyotes, why do this, is just their predatory instinct. They like to eat what I like to eat. They like to eat deer, turkeys, but besides those two, they really, their diet consists of rodents, birds. They even eat berries. I was pleasantly surprised to eat that. I think of coyote constantly just munching on whatever they can get a hold of, like scavengers. But it was interesting to me that berries was a small percentage of their diet, and then ultimately, on occasion, this is another reason we'll get into, but they like to divine. They like to. I'm trying to think of the word. They like to have a little meal of livestock. So cattle or chickens or that stray cat or dog, as you were saying, that's where they can become a problem.
Yeah, definitely. So let me transition into like why we hunt these canines. It's if you hunt at all, if you're an outdoorsman, or if you're a farmer, or if you have livestock, or like to hunt big game, coyotes are predators, and they're looking for a meal just like we are when we go out and we're hunting white-tailed deer, and they will take if you ever grow up watching like nature programs or National Geographic or Wild America and things like that, you're always watching the circle of predator prey, and how that circle of life works, because the youngest, the weakest, the slowest are going to get picked off. And so as deer hunters and conservationists, we want to see a healthy deer herd and a healthy deer population. Coyotes work against that, because they're taking out the fawns and the young ones. And, so if you're a farmer, they're not taking down the big cattle, they're going to take down your calves and your next generation of head of beef and that sort of thing. And so we want to take these out. The reason why we do hunt them is because they are predators. And what we're seeing when you were talking about like different things that they eat, they're omnivores, so they're going to eat both meat and fruits, berries, that sort of stuff. But they're going to go after that weak link, that weakling. So that could be your children's house cat, somebody's pet, a beloved farm animal, any of those things. Nothing's off game to the coyotes. So we hunt them to minimize that. And like you said, there's the other piece of this is, there's I wouldn't say it's a little. Wouldn't say it's a depression, but after the late season, we're done here in Pennsylvania. We are out of hunting season right now, and we're trying to find something to do with our time. And there's nothing better because this is the time of year where you want to hunt coyotes. So, one of the facts that when we were looking into this episode that found interesting was research analyzing that the scat of a coyote, 57% of the scat had deer in it, and so they're hunting what we hunt, and it's really really important. We want to get after them, and we want to keep the coyote population down so that the deer population can be healthy. So population of these coyotes are increasing, even though there are a lot of people out there that do predator hunting. They're a nocturnal animal, so they're hard to kill. Coyotes communicate really, really well, and so that's kind of like an eerie feeling whenever you're out after dark and you hear a pack, because one starts howling and the next one starts howling, and next thing you know, you've got a whole pack, and it's a very cool thing to hear. But if you're a hunter like us, like we don't like hearing coyotes. So they say, the only good coyote's a dead coyote, because what are they contributing? But they are contributing to the balance of the ecosystem, I guess. So there's a role of hunting to keep them in check and keep them in balance. I know where we have some property and we hunt, there's always been some coyotes up there, but I'd say in the last year or two, I've seen more coyotes on camera and in my stand than I ever have, hunting there for the past 30 years that we've had the property. So, we want to get out probably and do some, scouting. We're going to do some shed hunting this spring, over the winter months into the spring, and might take a stab at trying to take a few of these guys out. But they're hard to kill because they're quick learners. That's why the cartoons, the character's name is the wily Coyote. He's wily, and coyotes are pretty quick. They're really savvy. You can try to set traps. They'll figure them out really fast, and they can be a real pain to eliminate. But one of the comments that we had put down in our notes, and I'm not sure where you got this quote, but it says they're hard to kill, they're elusive, and there's a quote here that says, "When the world ends, they're going to be cockroaches and coyotes." Because just like cockroaches, you're hard to kill. Coyotes are very similar. It's hard to eliminate them. And I read also, I was reading an article studying up on this subject, and the article said something to the effect that, coyotes they're so smart. I'm losing it right now, but basically, like they're so smart that it's hard to eliminate them. But we do hunt them because they come after they're predators, and they come after the livestock and the animals that we hunt and eat. When to hunt them? It's this time of year, right? It's cold weather. Your January, your February, and the reason for that is as we get into winter, it's their mating season. When do we hunt deer? We hunt deer in their mating season in the fall. So as winter progresses, coyotes begin to mate, which means more sightings, more opportunities. It's kind of like hunting the rut, right? Same concept. When breeding season hits, we're going to have more opportunities, more sightings. No different with coyotes. They're usually in search of food during this time of year, and they can be less wary in colder months, making them easier to decoy and call. And we can get into how we hunt them here next. But I would say like winter and spring are the good seasons for hunting coyotes, because in the springtime, what you have is fawns dropping. From the deer mating in the fall, you have in the springtime fawns start to drop, And that's another opportunity for more sightings of coyotes because they're going to be on the prowl looking for that easy meal. So it's an opportunity for smart hunters to hunt in the springtime as well. But maybe we can throw this over to you, and you can talk a little bit about like the different ways, like how to hunt coyotes. I've never done a lot of coyote hunting, but I know that you have some thoughts on that. So any tips and tactics on how to make it happen?
Well, yeah, I like to lead off first. There's a saying out there, if you're turkey hunting or you're deer hunting, whatever you're doing out there, if a coyote walks by, guess what? You're coyote hunting now.
That's right.
You want to get them eliminated. You want to get them out of the environment that they're, especially when they're on your hunting grounds. But
we all feel that way as hunters, right? You see the opportunity, you don't waste it.
Yeah, like the one I got a few years ago in the deer stand, it's like you think, yeah, I'm going to shoot, I'm going to scare the deer away or whatnot, but it's not even a thought in your head. You're like, oh, coyote, like grab the gun, GTG.
Yeah. Get the gun.
But yeah, there's plenty ways to hunt coyotes, just as if for deer or turkey, there's plenty of ways. Some might be more successive than others, but you can set up, you can use electronic calls, you can use natural calls, you can stand, you can go for a walk, you can trap. That's a common way. Baiting, you're allowed to bait for coyotes. You can use dogs. There's dogs out there that are trained that'll chase them. I actually last year I went out to my buddy's camp, and he has a little bit more property, and he has a connection with some of those dogs. So it was pretty interesting to watch those dogs work. There was a team of 4 dogs total, but initially they went out. They would let 2 dogs go, so the other 2 dogs could rest, because these dogs run like crazy. But they run. They have a GPS tracker, and somehow, I guess, just with spending so much time with the dogs, they know the behavior of the dogs. If the dog starts barking, they can tell, and they would radio to us, be like, "Hey, we got one. Relocate to here." And apparently, the coyotes are patterned that they would run quarter-mile loops. I don't know why, but it was just so interesting. And we talk about the elusiveness of them, but
yeah,
as a group of college buddies, we were, I felt like I was back in grade school. We were running around in the woods with our shotguns and walkie-talkies. Hey, you got to be here. We were on the move, but each time we'd get there, we would just miss them, or the coyote would change path. So it was a blast. I'm really hoping we do it again this year. But dogs are just another tool that you can use to make the work a little bit lighter on yourself. On the opposite of that, you can be the dog yourself. You can do what driving is, such as deer, where it's basically where you have someone set up. You have a crew walk through the woods to pressure and hopefully jump a coyote out of there. But on top of that, as for like what's recommended, when you if you want to locate yourself and get a good setup and do a little bit of calling. Typically, what you can do is, you're like, you get to your spot, you wonder, how long should I sit before I move to the next? Because coyotes cover a large area of acreage, so you don't spend too long in one place and not get to hunt your other ones where they might be at. But traditionally, there's a saying out there, rule of 15 minutes to get to your setup. Call for 15 minutes, wait. If you don't hear anything or see anything, then move. But it's almost like deer hunting as well. If you go out and just tell yourself you're going to hunt, till 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. Well, if you hang out a few more hours, you increase your opportunity. So it's recommended that you try to sit out at least a little bit longer. Try to push more towards that hour, because coyotes have tremendous hearing. So they might hear your call, and it might just take them a while to work there. But set yourself up for success. Find an area with high visibility, so that way you can, see those coyotes coming in. Not to, pack up the truck and leave because you're not seeing anything.
How often do you think that happens? Where whether you're deer hunting or coyote hunting or even fishing, you always, once you pack up, then something comes moving through.
Right.
Or fish start biting once you leave the hole.
I wish there was a stat out there, maybe, when we're old and we're done hunting that can tell you, this was how many deer you missed. This was how many deer that, snuck behind your tree when you were sleeping. It would be a comical stat to have that flash before your eyes to realize that. Cause I think we all realize, there's some deer that, we miss. There's some deer that we catch that we never knew were there. And it's just a nature of hunting. We're not always attentive, and sometimes we lose focus. But yeah, good point.
Yeah, I remember, several years back when I really first started to get into self filming, and I didn't have like all the cameras and the gear and the stuff that we do now, but I had a trail camera looking at a trail that I was hunting in archery, and basically my cell phone. So those are the two cameras that I had going, and I had the trail camera on video, and I was hunting one fall, and I would say like a fog and rainstorm came through, right? So rainstorm came through, bunch of fog, visibility was horrible, leaves were wet, it was cold, wasn't great for like an all-day sit. So, I sit till like 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. I figure I'm gonna get out of the tree. I'm gonna go back to camp, get a bowl of soup, warm up, and then come back out for an evening hunt. Come back out that evening. I pull the card to the camera, and what happens? You leave the stand at 10, and at like 10:45, you got deer walking through. So you just never know, and then you want to kick yourself. And I actually found out that time because I had a camera set up, but often. You might go out, you might sit your 15 minutes and then try to move locations, but to the point that you were making, coyotes got it, and dogs in general, these canines have great hearing. And so if you're leaving out a call of like a wounded animal or, whatever their prey is, they might hear that and are working their way towards you. You just got to give them a little bit of time to get to you.
Right. Another thing I don't think we really highlighted yet is how great their sense of smell is. Right. Just like our household dogs, you're eating dinner, they're right over because they can smell it. So I thought that was interesting. So you want to tie into where you set up. You want to set up downwind from them if you can. The wind isn't something we can control, but we can control where we're located. So a lot of people nowadays have Onyx. There's a couple of other different location apps that are out there that you can find out where the wind is and where it's blowing, so you can set yourself up accordingly. As to tie into the scent thing, baiting, as I mentioned earlier, it is legal, so you can use different baits. I know we find our deer guts in deer season tends to bring them in pretty good, but what do you do now? It wouldn't be legal to stumble upon I guess the better word, it wouldn't be a good look if the game commission rolls up and you're hunting coyotes and there's a gut pile right now. So
right
in the season now, it's a little bit more accurate. There's a couple of ways you can work around it. I was watching videos last night, and I found a recipe we'll have to try for our hunt when we go up. Mm-hmm. But they actually use some deer meat. They use some burger, and I forget, it looked disgusting. It was like canned fish. But they ground canned fish and put it in this mixture as well, and he let it rot outside
something
for a few.
Stinks.
Yep. So
they want it to stink.
No, but I just thought that was interesting. It got me thinking, just another option we can use out there.
Yeah, take some chicken livers, put them out in the sun, let them bake for a few days, and start to rot. Right. That'll really bring a stink and bring in the scavengers.
Right. And then last point I want to highlight, calls. It's one of the more effective ones. And if you talk to a well-versed coyote hunter, that's probably going to be their favorite. But tips and tricks that I found in my research is there's varying calls you can use. You can use a type of their prey in distress is the most common one. So whether that's a rabbit, a pig, a fawn, just something to pitch out that it's the weak one of the group. It's injured. It makes it for an easy meal for that coyote to come out there. But if you're hunting in an area that's very much a popular spot amongst other hunters, or even if you don't know, but you're trying the same thing, it doesn't work. Those little electronic calls, they come with settings. I looked at my friends once, and there's like 30 different calls on there. You probably only use 4, but there's other options on there. So feel free to use a call that might not be more frequent. It's just like if you hear a sound in your house that you're not sure what is, you're gonna turn your head and want to go check it out, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, also I was just going to say, the laws and rules for what you can and cannot do, obviously they're going to vary by state. So, wherever you're listening, you want to make sure that you're checking with your local, Department of Natural Resources or Game Commission for what's legal in your area. But, it's just like anything else. When you find something that works, that's what you want to go to. And guys that have been doing this for a while, they're going to be the experts to tell you on how to bring them in, how to accomplish getting those coyotes. I know that they run fields a lot, right? And so you're going to get even if a farmer doesn't let you hunt deer on their property, a lot of them are going to still let you hunt coyotes because they want to protect their livestock and stuff. So don't be bashful, go up, talk to landowners, get permission, obviously, but a lot of people, you'll be surprised, are happy to let you come onto their land and hunt coyotes.
Yep. But yeah, like just to tie on to that, using different calls, it's like if you go to the fishing hole, if you keep using the same bait, eventually, you're not going to pique an interest of that fish that you've been casting, 50 some times to, switch it up, try something different. If he sees a different color of a lure that's out there, that fish might jump right on that hook. But just trying different things. All the other calls that can be used is coyote calls. There's varying ones, but it's basically like a locator call to let coyotes know you're in the area. They typically run in packs, as we say. So, if you let them know, hey, I'm over here, it might pique their interest to come check you out and, see who you are. Last call that I thought was interesting, I didn't know that is used out there. You want a call to let the surrounding pack know that the scene is safe. And what's going to let them know that it's safe area? It's crow calls, eagles calls, and any other kind of scavenger call. Because if the birds are hanging around, that means there's nothing else around. You think you're driving on the road, you'll see this turkey buzzards, munching on a carcass, but you drive by, they fly off. That's basically letting the coyotes pay attention, and they know that the scene's not safe then. But then when those scavengers come back, then they know it's all right and there's nothing too crazy going on.
Everything's settled down. Yeah, that's a really good point, because if you can pay attention to those little things in nature, you're gonna get it. The coyotes are living out there. Deer do it. As a hunter, if we can pay attention to those things too, we can get a leg up on the prey that we're after as well. Yeah,
and just last thing, just to highlight, is just learn each time you go out in the woods. Learn about your setup, what you think you did good, what you think you did wrong, what you think you could do better. And that's not just for coyote hunting. That's from if you're turkey hunting, if you're out fishing, if you're hunting. Learn from your previous encounters and go on from there and set yourself up for better success for your next adventures.
Yeah, no doubt. One of the things that, with coyotes, because they are a predator and they are such a nuisance, that avid outdoorsmen like, ourselves and people that are probably listening to this podcast, we all have this passion to eliminate these predators because they're taking out the young deer, right? And so you can get into, depending on where you're at, there are a lot of contests. Like you said, there were people, I don't know, when did you say that was, like back in the day, that were turning coyotes and mistakenly, they were having contests though, and putting bounties on the furs for these animals. And you can get a bounty for your furs, and that's probably a whole nother episode on like how much you can get for different types of furs. But why don't you talk to us a little bit about the contests, and that sort of arena, because I know that different states have different contests that they run for taking out these type of predators.
Yeah, so looking into the bounty contest, they're privately hosted, but I want to say there's up to 20 some that's in PA, and it's primarily from right about now. I think there's one January 4th through this weekend essentially. But you pay a sign up fee. It could be $10, could be $20. It's different depending on what club you go to, and then that gets you your weekend thing, and you go, you harvest your coyote and you turn it in, and you win cash prizes, and you'll win surprisingly a large sum of money if you have the largest male or largest female. One I looked into too, and I want you to pull up here, Ronnie. There's one up in Mosquito Creek, I believe it's northern Pennsylvania. But how strict are these guys on the rules? They're giving away quite the large cash prize, but what I think is interesting, and it's the right thing to do. You want to make sure that the participants are legal about the way that they harvest the animal, and that they're following your rules. But if
did you want me to share the screen, or did you just want me to pull it up and we want to talk through it?
I think we can just talk through it.
Okay.
I just thought it would be interesting to see if there's anything that jumps off the page to you, but you can start that Friday at midnight, so you're night hunters, and then it looks like it ends on a Sunday,
like a
middle
2-day hunt, like a weekend contest.
Basically, yeah. And then they explain what your money goes towards. So, $12 is this association sign-up fee. $8 of that goes towards cash prize for successful hunters. $2 towards administration, and the other $2 will go to the heaviest female. So they pay out for the largest male. They do first, second, and third for the largest male. I believe it's broken down to 50%, 30%, 10%, and the largest female gets its own cash prize. And then a little bit of the money that goes there goes towards if you bring a coyote in. But everybody that looks like wants to participate in this hunt, they have to be members of this sportsman club. So
sure.
I thought that was an interesting way to boost their numbers, and it's a good fundraiser, and to keep their club alive is, hey, if you want to participate in this big hunt, you got to be a member.
Yeah, it's part of the conservation effort too. Like you get into some of these hunting clubs are pretty big. And they own or lease large plots of land, and they want to make sure that property is being managed well as well. So yeah, if you run a contest like this, and these guys that we're looking at here, they're pretty organized. So it looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'd be fun in the future. But yeah, they really have a keen eye. If you're hunting in groups, everybody has to be registered, or you're disqualified. I thought it was really interesting. They have a wildlife biologist and a veterinarian on scene. All animals that are tagged and come through, they're doing autopsies on them to make sure that they were taken legally and they weren't penned or trapped illegally. But I thought that was interesting. And also to highlight on top of that, I guess if they think you're suspicious, they'll run a polygraph.
Yeah, I see that in the rules here. Yeah, polygraph examinations are held on Sunday.
Right. So they are serious, and they mean business about going about this the right way, which I think on this large scale of a contest, I think it's the right thing to do. But
yeah, this club's got their stuff together, man. This is really interesting.
Every rule has a reason, so I'm wondering in the past if they had issues with dishonest people running through. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's why we come up with this stuff. We don't make rules just to have rules.
Right. We'll have to get a polygraph for camp so when we're storytelling.
Yeah, don't polygraph me for sure. You're not gonna. I won't pass.
Right.
Yeah, but looking at the prize money, man. Like first place here. I guess this was 2023. The largest. Well, they gave a weight here. So the prize weight for first place was 53.5 pounds, and prize was over $8,000, 8,800 bucks. So the second place Coyote brought in 5,000. Third place Coyote brought in $3,000. And the corresponding weights were 49 pounds for second place and 48 pounds for third place. So, I mean, that's incredible. And the largest female was at 47.9, call it, 48 pound. 48 pound female is a pretty large coyote.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you get it organized enough, like this is one that we're looking at is a very large organized group. So I imagine there's a lot of people that are enrolling in this to have prize money like that. But it's definitely a great way to spend your off season. This time of year, even if you're not entering into a contest like this, there is a reward of taking out coyotes that are predators for the deer that we hunt, and thinning the herd down. There's also, if you do fur, the furs on these can be salvaged if you're into that sort of thing as well. So it's just a really interesting topic, for this time of year, as we are after hunting season's shut down here in Pennsylvania, and it's winter setting in, and we got a little bit of time here before we can get out. I guess some people don't miss a beat. They're out scouting already, but we're in that sort of lull at the end of the season where it's what are we going to get into next? Springtime things really start to pick up, with turkey season and trout fishing and different types of things. But coyote hunting is a great way to spend the winter, for sure.
Right. And then last thing to close out on that bounty contest, I don't know what your thoughts are. Maybe this will be a good get in the Ronnie's head segment, but there's some controversy out there because there's that large push, go out, hunt, kill these things in this short amount of time. So for coyotes, personally, I don't mind it. I think it's a good way for reasons we highlighted above. But let's just say there's, a deer contest or a turkey contest. Like, do you think the impact that if they would do one, like, do you think that would be something that would be more frowned upon? Like, what would your thoughts be if they pushed one out for, hey, we're doing a big turkey contest here?
It depends on the population and the demographic for the area in which you're doing it. I think like the heart behind even why we started this podcast and, the sort of the messaging behind, why we do is what we do is, our tagline's nature is your playground, right? In nature, we just want people to be outdoors and enjoy the outdoors. So when we look at the population of our state right now, the number, and it's not just our state, really, it's across the board, the amount of outdoorsmen and outdoors women it's decreasing. It's becoming a lost art, people being able to go out and fend for themselves, and that field to table with your food type of situation. So it's kind of a roundabout answer, but if it gets people engaged in the outdoors and the population, the numbers of the animal or the species that you're hunting support it, I'm not opposed to contests and things like that to drum up excitement and get people excited. The thing is, everything that we do, we want to have conservation in mind, for healthy populations.
To piggyback off that, and you'd agree with this too, I think if your sole reason for getting out and participating in this is for the prize money, then your head's in the wrong place. I think it should be more so like you're out getting out in the wild, you're making memories at camp or at your cabin with your friends and your family, and go from there. But if it's strictly for the prize money, then there's other issues that need to be addressed.
1,000%. So like we were just talking about, hey, when are we going to make another trip up to to our property. There definitely are coyotes up there that need to be hunted. It's not something we've spent a lot of time doing in the past. I know that we've got some personal stories with coyotes. Even this year, I had a coyote come into me, circle my stand. I probably in archery season saw 4 or 5 different coyotes, but nothing came into range. But one of them came probably within 30, 40 yards until probably that nose. He smelled me or saw some movement as I was trying to get the cell phone up to record, and hit the brakes and spun around. But yeah, I mean, I think the heart behind it is we just want to get out and be outdoors. We want to make memories, hanging out with your buddies, not wasting our time, sitting around, scrolling on the cell phone or watching TV or whatever people do with their time. We just want to be active. We want to enjoy God's creation. And, we can do that in the off season. There are things you can do in the winter, and coyote hunting is one of those things. So definitely want to plan a trip to get back up to camp. And, it's, as we're recording this, it's probably early till it launches. It'll be mid-January till people are listening to this, So January, February, great months to hunt coyotes. So we're probably going to be getting out there and taking our hand at it as well. And certainly if we have any success, you guys will be hearing about it.
I was thinking today, just as we joked earlier, hunt on the backside of the mountain. If you get one, how much of pain and work it is to drag that deer up. But we ultimately end up going back because we love the thrill of it. But, there comes the work associated with it. But, we're talking about end of February, early March, getting up to, do some shed hunting and some coyote hunting. But, we have that steep driveway and just the weather that's up in the mountains. It's colder up there. So ice and snow, it sticks around. The mountain doesn't get thawed out roughly till like mid-April. But it just all depends on what the climate and the weather is this year. But I don't know why, but I just had a blurb in my head. We could park and walk up to camp if it really came to it. That's just how bad I want to get up there. But I'm just thinking, growing up, man, with the weather, I never been to camp when there was snow, because at all costs, if it's in the forecast, we avoid it. But I know there's been some things too, and you guys got stuck up there.
So with our property, there's some steep driveway, to get up where we are. So if there's any type of ice or snow on it, there are guys that hunt up there where we have our property that will drive it, but we generally don't. But anyway, long story short, if there's ice or snow on that mountain, you're probably not going to be able to make it up. I've done the walk from, we have a gated off at the base of the mountain, and I've done that walk 2 or 3 times, and I got no problem parking at the gate and walking to the top. So if you want to do that, I got no problem doing it. Actually, I did it this spring. Went up to do some turkey hunting, and I got the whole way up there. I was such a hurry to get out of work. I took off from work, and I didn't remember my keys to the gate, and so I had to park at the gate, and I had to hike it up. But luckily, it was turkey season, and I could take the shotgun for a walk, so it wasn't too bad. But it's not that bad of a walk. Keeps you in shape. One of my New Year resolution was, you got to get healthy. You got to stay in shape so that we can run that back hill, that mountain. Can't do it like I used to. It just takes me I can do it like I used to. It just takes me longer to recover after I did it. So, yeah, I'm interested. I'm down for a cabin trip pretty soon.
Right. Start the new year off right with our fitness journey. But yeah, at all costs, man, I want to get up there. It's talking about this and, what we've been talking about the past few weeks. It's got me itching to get up there and get prepared for the next season that's going to be upon us pretty soon. It'll be here before we know it.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm just looking at the calendar, and like I said, it'll be mid-January until this podcast episode drops. So, yeah, it's time flies. It's moving faster. They say don't get old, but don't get old because time just moves faster. But look, nature's our playground. We love being outdoors. Love sharing our stories and informational tips and tricks on the different things that we love to do. We just want to share it with you guys out there that are listening, and certainly we can drop some of the links to the different places and sources that we are pulling from in this episode. Be sure to follow us online if you like this type of information. You can always find us at Tracks and Tackle or at Menser Outdoors, and we're always trying to post content, capture the memories, make those memories, and there's always a story to be told. Where life's a journey, and nature's our playground. So, any closing remarks on the coyote topic?
No, just hopefully our viewers here got something from the episode. Maybe they learned something new, and they can go into their season and maybe have a little bit more knowledge when they're out there, and can just enjoy the wild and give them another reason to get outside. Even if it's a little chilly and you got to put a bit more layers on, just get out there and enjoy your time in the woods, and be present with nature.
That's it. Be present. So, appreciate you guys tuning in. We will check in with you shortly. As always, thanks for supporting the episodes that we put out. And until next time, stay wild.